Guys, David from Just Game here, just visiting Sydney and popping in to have a look at the Naughty Dog Uncharted 4 presentation. I'm here with Arne Meyer from Naughty Dog, the community strategist. How are you today?
Good, how are you?
Awesome, very well. We just had a bit of a hands-on with Uncharted 4 for about 30 minutes, or 60 minutes to play, but 30 minutes of gameplay. Pretty good stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about what we just played?
Sure.
Just for the viewers that we can chop it in.
Sure, yeah, we put together a nice little demo section that lets you explore a couple new sort of gameplay mechanics that we're trying to do with Uncharted 4 that we weren't able to do before and really expanded on. Part of which is you're driving a vehicle for the first time in the Uncharted series over a really broad environment. You're able to get out and explore, maybe pick up some collectibles or treasures, use the 4x4 for problem solving as well. So we're really excited about that. I think it's a really great thing to put in the game and really be able to go all over the plains of Madagascar. The other part too is you're able to see what we're trying to do with combat now. It's a little bit more complex than we've done before. Stealth is a really robust option now. You're able to break from it. There's a lot of options to it. You can mark enemies. There's a threat indicator. We also go in guns blazing, so the idea is player choice, both with the driving and with combat.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really noticed that I was just talking to the guys here at One Green Bean as well, that the car itself, it's crazy, the physics, like the change in terrain and stuff, suddenly you'll lose traction, fall off the cliff, or even reversing and accelerating is just as it would be, like you could change your gears and it's clunky and so are they the types of things that you guys have been working on between the original release day and perhaps now the new release date? What was the main reason for the delay?
A lot of the stuff is really just making sure that we achieved the vision we wanted to and at the level of detail and polish for everything. So what happens with Naughty Dog is we spend a lot of the time development really putting the game together, but the game really starts coming together in terms of how it feels, how it plays, really close to the end of development. And as we're getting close to basically looking at our deadlines and the upcoming deadlines, we're like, well, to really get everything to the level of polish that we want, we're going to need a little bit more time.
Yep. No, and it pays off. I was saying when I'm sitting in front of it, I think it must be a 42-inch or something like that. When you're sitting right front and center, it still looks beautiful, but when you take a few steps back and you're probably at the right viewing distance, things that I wasn't seeing before just started to pop, like shadow effects and just some of the beautiful scenery and stuff like that. So it's very polished. I was going to ask, so probably a few people have asked this, what's next for Naughty Dog? You mentioned this single-player DLC. What's everyone doing at Naughty Dog Studios right now?
Well, the multiplayer team is still in the studio. They don't have any type of break because we've got a really robust sort of DLC content that's coming out, and we haven't really talked very much about it too. So at some point we're going to be able to talk about it and you get an idea of why they've been still working so hard. But a good part of the studio is taking a break right now. But yeah, everyone's going to come back and we're going to start focusing on what the single player chapter is. Yeah. We actually don't know where it's going to lead us. So we have to start working basically from scratch. So it's going to take us a little while to figure that out.
Yeah. So I remember at PAX last year you mentioned that Neil had said you're not even going to look at it until after the release. And I thought it'd be a bit cheeky and say if it's been delayed, has there been any talk about water coolers? Is there any crazy ideas what the DLC might be?
I'm sure there's a few ideas in Neil and Bruce's head, but I know that especially as we got closer to making sure that we hit gold and all of the milestones associated with it, that the focus really has been on let's make sure that we hit all the beats that we need, let's make sure the team's working and hitting all their deadlines as well. So I'm sure they got distracted from potentially thinking about what it is. That's the way we always work. We want to make sure that we've wrapped up the main story and then figure out, okay, what resonates with us from the story, what gameplay elements work for us, where can we take a narrative element that really works as a standalone. So I think for us, even though it might take a while before the single player chapter comes out, it works really well for us because we're able to really look at it and focus on it as its own piece.
Yeah. So with PlayStation VR announced recently, has Naughty Dog sort of thought about whether that would be part of a new game or part of this game expansions, or is that not even?
It's really not within our roadmap. For us, we feel that we do a really good job on this flat screen right in front of you. But that's definitely our strength, and that's what we're trying to focus. I think we still have a lot to push the technology just on the PS4 there. I think we have a lot of interesting stories to tell. I know that personally at the studio there's a lot of people who have interest in that, and some people have bought development kits from all the different VR platforms and they're exploring it. And I'm sure there are some gameplay mechanics and things that people are creating are specific to that we'll take a look at and somehow get influenced or get incorporated to things we do. That's the same as any other medium, but for us, this nice little flat screen
Yep, that works beautiful.
works for us, yeah.
So a bit about you, your background, I was reading that you founded a record label and a magazine back in the mid-90s, yeah. How did the transition to games happen?
Getting into games was actually pure luck. I just happened to be interviewing for a company that I ended up starting working for, and like within 6 months of working there, they started pitching video game business. And I was a little bit arrogant, and I was saying, well, I've got some ideas, as to how you could appeal to your community or, your gamers. And I was fortunate that they were listening to me, and so I ended up being part of that team. That's sort of how I got the start in video gaming. But I think when you really maybe step back and look at it, and I've always been trying to think about how did I end up in this career? Like, do I have any advice? It's like by working in music and like working in, which isn't really working in music, but by being a fan and working on a fanzine, that was really my start in doing work with communities and stuff like that, because I was part of the community. Mm-hmm. I was building an audience. I basically was bridging both sides, right? Like being a fan and creating a fanzine, mm-hmm. You're a fan of artists or you're a fan of the music genre, so you have an idea of where everyone else's fan is coming from, but you've sort of taken it to this level where like, all right, I'm going to also try to build an audience. I'm going to try to write something about it. So,
yeah. Do you still do it? Still write?
I have, so I don't really do it on the music side and that sort of thing. I for a while I've been running a blog, and I was writing about games for a while, and I was trying to do like a weekly like news analysis and wrap up, because that was the type of stuff that interested me. But now if you go to my blog, it's mostly pictures.
Yeah, no worries. And what's the blog, if you want to plug it?
It's just my name. It's arnemeyer.com.
Awesome. All right, well, one last question was, if you could pick the next game and setting for Naughty Dog, and what do you think you'd like to see happen as their next big title?
Oh man, I don't know.
Something to do with music? Maybe Guitar Hero?
Well, we've always joked around because there's this fictional comic book that we put in there. It was Savage Starlight, and was sort of like really going off the other direction, and you're like doing sci-fi and that sort of thing. It could be interesting. Sort of take everything we've learned about being grounded in the real world and like adding this more fantastical element to it.
Yeah, because I think that's kind of what you're doing in the Uncharted series, right? You always have it kind of semi-grounded. It's always real-life scenarios, or could be real-life scenarios. Yeah. So do you think that would probably be the same, to keep that sort of same theme going through?
It seems like that's the direction that we feel really comfortable with, and it's our forte, is really creating situations, narratives where it's grounded somewhere in reality. I think it really helps us immerse you as a player. Mm-hmm. It helps you really feel like you're part of the story because it's believable, right? It's plausible, and mm-hmm. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
And then we can find ways to suspend your disbelief, like Drake's incredibly strong fingertips.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having us. It was such a great experience. We'll be sharing this with our readers and viewers. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoy Australia.
Yeah.
Take care.
You too.